Hello there, you're listening to In the Books. We're a podcast where we discuss book-to-screen adaptations and period dramas. But who the hell are we?
I'm Michelle. You can find me at Musings on the Insta.
And I'm Rita. I'm at Annoying Rita on Instagram. And I post nonsense. So get on it.
We are back to discuss season 2 of Kaiserin. Kaiserin.
Yeah.
I was practicing this earlier and we see how well that went. So Kaiserin.
Don't worry, I left some of the worst stuff for myself.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Otherwise known as The Empress, one of our favorite shows of 2022. It's back and we'll see if Elisabeth is still grappling with the pressures of royal life and her role as Empress. We are so pumped. I just about dropped my phone. We are so pumped to see what this show has in store for us. But remember, this is a spoiler-free podcast. So if you haven't binged the show yet, you can listen along safely in the knowledge that we don't know what the hell is about to happen. But we also understand that most of you binged the show when it came out, a billion years ago. Actually, I think it was November, but it's been so long, I'm fuzzy on that. In that case, you can listen to us predict everything wrongly, even more fun for you.
Okay, but before we go any further, we have some major pod news to announce.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. I don't know. Yeah, that's better. Mine sounded more like boxing. So in 2025, we'll be posting pods every other week. We have been in the podcasting game for almost 10 years, Michelle. I think next year
my
it's
God.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Okay. And we're tired, okay?
Yes.
We're trying to avoid burnout and sustain the quality of the pod we have established. I can't research all of the things, even though I try. If this is disappointing to you, I understand. But please bear in mind, I got sick so much last year, because I never rest, that we weren't really producing a podcast a week anyway. So, this might help us be more consistent.
Yes.
And you might not even notice.
Yes.
Who knows?
It's work-life balance, people.
I don't have that. I gave myself more work on top of my work.
Yes. So we need to try and claw our way back from the edge of the cliff. To
my goal for
some.
2025 is to not be hospitalized.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So anyway, let's get into this episode. Episode 1 of season 2 of The Empress. This episode is called An Heir to the Throne, in English, obviously. It was in German, and I translated it.
Thank you.
It was directed by Barbara Ott and written by showrunner Kaiserin. To the recap, Michelle.
To the recap. We begin at the gates of Vienna in 1856, 2 years after the events of season 1. A delegation from Lombardy, traveling into the city, has had a wheel come off its carriage. As they repair the wheel, they notice that one of the delegates, Adolfo, is missing. He has snuck off to a nearby village and is given a package by someone. Rather drippy package.
Mm-hmm.
He looks nervous as he makes his way back to the carriage, ready to continue the journey. After the credits, we see a heavily pregnant Elisabeth in the bathtub, practicing different languages. Her daughter, a toddler named Friedchen?
Feinchin?
Feinchin?
I don't know.
Feinchin?
Can't help you. I always knew her as Princess Sophie. So the fact that they're going by her second name probably speaks to the status of their relationship with the other Sophie.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyhow, her daughter, who is a toddler, sneaks into the room. She asks about the baby and wonders if it will be a boy or girl. Elisabeth asks her what she would prefer, but we never find out. We then cut to Sophie, big Sophie, who is praying desperately that Elizabeth's child will be a son. The creepy bishop who molested Elizabeth last season tells Sophie, quote, "For centuries it has been a man on the throne, Sophie, who is chosen by God. The woman gives life and the man rules over it," end quote.
Yeah.
Oh, God. This kind of sexism is typical of the Catholic Church, but completely ignores Maria Theresa, who was unquestionably the most successful Habsburg ruler and held the throne in her own right as a, insert shocked gasp now, woman.
How can that be?
But whatevs. Big Sophie is hoping for a boy. Of course.
We cut to Charlotte. Remember her? She's now the head of the ladies-in-waiting and showing the new recruits around the palace. She gives them their rules, and it's clear she has grown in confidence and status. But these new girls seem dumber than ever. Lord help her.
Yeah.
She has got a job in front of her. We then cut back to Elizabeth still in her bath. Finding? I don't know how to say this child's name.
Fine, Shelley.
Okay. She's fine. Feinstein's panicking governess enters the room looking for her charge. She is worried and begs the Empress's pardon, but Elizabeth tells her that her daughter will be having breakfast with her. She's a cool mom.
Yes.
Charlotte then enters to tell Elizabeth that the midwife is here. We then cut to my baby boy, Franz, who is dressing for the day and preparing to meet all the different delegations. He smirks to his valet, saying he knows the real reason these people have embarked on this long journey is to see his wife. But he seems pretty comfortable with being her sidekick. When he gets a message that Elizabeth has sent for him, he just trots right on down the hall.
Yes, he does.
Good little boy.
Yes.
He finds her with midwife. Oh, God, help me. Foodle.
Foodle. Yes. Midwife Foodle.
Thank you for the German names. She has brought 2,000 children into the world, including 30 kings, earls, dukes, and a pope. She uses the baby's heart rate and the shape of Elizabeth's belly to determine that she is carrying the heir to the throne. You'll be unsurprised to learn that her methods are incredibly fucking unscientific, and ultimately she is incorrect. But we will get to that in a minute.
Yes, we will. After everyone leaves, and I mean everyone, because it seemed like the whole court was in her bedroom for this event, but
no, Sophie is not invited.
Yeah. After everyone leaves, Elizabeth and Franz are being super adorable and start speaking to each other in Italian and making out. They are very much in love, and it's wonderful to see. They are rudely interrupted by a large, painful kick from the baby, which causes her to double over. I mean, good God. Ow. Franz speaks to the bump, telling his presumed son to behave himself. Elizabeth finds this amusing, and they both smile happily. And it is just freaking adorable. And this is, of course, when we knew something awful was about to happen, because we can't have nice things. Say it with me, everybody. We can't have nice things.
No.
Nope. Meanwhile, outside, the delegations start to arrive, including a very nervous-looking Aldolfo. It's like, dude, chill out. If you're trying to be smooth, you're not doing it. Inside, we meet not the real Leontine again. She is not in prison for killing a biatch, but is in the midst of a secret tryst with Alexander von Bock, the Minister of the Interior for the Habsburg Empire. They are about to get busy when there is a knock on the door. The Empress is looking for Leontine. So, not really a secret then.
No.
Yeah. Franz gets a visit from his mother, who gives him a rather creepy gift. It's a tiny, stiff uniform to match the one Franz is currently wearing. Franz, who is much frostier to his mother than in season 1, is like, slow your roll, Mama. Why don't we wait until the child's born healthy and walking before we start mapping out his entire life? But, this is Sophie we're talking about. So, Leontine tries to visit Elisabeth. Charlotte, who witnessed her murdering someone, is like, I don't know who the fuck you really are, and you aren't seeing the Empress unless I say so. Which is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But she relents when she realizes the Empress has sent for Leontine, so she probably expects to see her. Not Leontine and Elisabeth greet warmly and sit on the floor and have a girl talk, where they discuss their plans for the future. If Elisabeth does have a son, she can leave the palace and travel the empire with her friends. She wants to learn more about her people.
Holiday. Their talk is interrupted by a large crashing sound. Okay, Elisabeth rushes out to find that her daughter is being scolded for breaking a vase by her kind of stern-looking governess.
Mm-hmm.
That vase was a gift from the Pope to Maria Theresa, and Sophie looks just unimpressed with the whole way she's being raised. But, like I said, Elisabeth is a cool mom, so she's sympathetic and tells the governess that her daughter is allowed to explore her own house freely. She then fires the governess, and Sophie manages to hold her tongue and allow it. She does, however, question if the reception they're hosting might be a bit too much for the very heavily pregnant Elisabeth. Elisabeth tells her she wishes to hear from the people in her realm. She's their empress, and she is fucking going. Okay, she might regret that later.
Yeah.
Sophie leaves the rooms and immediately starts making plans. She thinks that once Elisabeth has given birth to her much-hoped-for boy, Sophie can take over, while her daughter-in-law gallivants across the empire, quote-unquote, listening to the people. Sophie has no respect for the other languages and cultures of the empire, and when she enters the reception they're holding for all these delegates, she scoffs derisively at the effort Elisabeth and Franz have made to learn to greet their guests in their native tongues. Why would you want to do a thing like that?
I know.
Franz and Elisabeth welcome delegations from Dalmatia, Bohemia, Bukovina, Hungary, and of course, Lombardy, Venetia. Those tricky Italians are there.
Mm-hmm.
And the celebration of diversity has been a huge success at that point. So, when a nervous-looking Adolfo hands Elisabeth a gift, she opens it expecting, a gift.
Yeah.
Some wine or something. Instead, she finds a large bloody tongue and gasps and rears back. I don't know, it was kind of dramatic, Elisabeth.
Yeah.
Like, come on, sis.
I don't know. My guess is that was probably pretty damn stanky by that point.
Yeah, I'm also like, how good is that box for like,
keeping in smell?
The smell?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a hot day. Anyway, Adolfo makes the mistake of grabbing at her. Like, he just starts touching her. Not a good idea. And he starts yelling, Italians will not be silenced. You have to set us free. This is a bit of a contradictory message because the first thing was a threat, and the next thing he's kind of begging her.
Yes.
And Franz is like, stop touching her. And I was like, all of this is weird. The guards in the room are like, okay, we'll pick him up and carry him out of the room. Okay, this is fine.
Uh-huh.
And he probably would have survived, except he decides to break free and leg it down the grand staircase of the palace.
Yeah.
I don't know where the fuck he thought he was going. He's surrounded by guardsmen.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he's shot by the guards, and a distressed Elisabeth sees him sprawled out and bleeding, an exact recreation of the shot from season 1 when Amalia, the evil bitch, got thrown off the balcony, and we were all like, "Yay, she's dead!" But it's like shot for shot, exactly the same. Kind of cool.
A freaked out Elisabeth heads to her rooms and looks for her daughter, who has been taken somewhere for safety. The palace is on high alert. She goes to not Leontine and begs her to find out what happened to the man. Meanwhile, Franz is having an emergency meeting with his ministers, and his mother, of course. He is assured that although the calls for independence following the 1848 revolutions never completely died, there has been no evidence of an organized independence movement. They think the man acted alone.
He does have the whiff of crazy.
Yeah, he does. However, the Kingdom of Piedmont has been agitating for Emperor Napoleon to aid them in annexing Lombardy from the Habsburgs. Franz worries that their relationship with France is at an... France. I think
I'm very pushed there.
That their relationship with France, throw extra American into it. France at an
I say France, but you can't. You have
I have to say France. At an all-time low, they might actually do it. He wants to send some kind of ambassador in his stead. You know who was BFFs with the French?
It's our least favorite person.
Smash cut to his brother Maxi. We then cut to him living his absolute worst life in a beautiful grand palace in Trieste, Italy. Poor boo-boo.
I know. Can you believe the depravity?
Oh, he has written 85 letters to Franz, who has not responded. Probably because he spends them comparing himself to Frankenstein's monster and using quotes like, "I am evil because I am unhappy." We're all unhappy, Maxie. Good God. Man up.
Some of us are unhappy in situations that don't involve an Italian palace.
Seriously. But you know something we don't do? We don't try and seduce our brother's wife. Okay?
Exactly.
And, commit high treason.
Coup. What else?
And
the coup is less important to me than the trying to make out with. Well, he successfully made out with her.
Yeah. Just
on her.
Yeah. Rein it back, Maxie.
I know.
He is in his depression era and has even grown a depression mustache. It really is a mustache.
It's a cry for help.
Oh, God, it is so bad. Let's see. On the night of his birthday, he hosts a birthday party filled with eccentric hangers-on. He is wasted, wearing a gigantic black feather crown, and
Okay. It just occurred to me.
What?
You remember in season 1, we were always like, feathers, birds, everywhere. And now
oh my gosh,
he's wearing a feather crown.
A feather crown. Oh boy.
The metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, keep going.
So he's hammered, got this gigantic black feathered crown on, and in near tears as he declares that his birthday wish is to have, quote, a huge wave from the sea come to swallow everything. Me, first of all, end quote. Oh my God.
We've all had sad birthdays,
Oh
you know.
my God.
But
yeah.
I know.
This is extra.
This
is really
and this is his
extra.
second birthday because it's been 2 years. Like, can you imagine the first one?
Oh my God.
That party would have blown.
My guess
Anyway.
is he was probably completely wasted and not even thinking about all of the things that he has done. But it's taken him this second year to finally get all of the letters.
The first year he was just like passed out in his own puke.
And all of the letters that he has sent to Franz that have not been responded to for him to realize, yeah, I'm kind of a dick.
I don't think he... Okay, we'll get into whether he's actually had that realization.
That right,
but, yeah, it's questionable. Back at Schönbrunn...
Schönbrunn?
I think it's Schönbrunn. Sophie tries to convince Franz to forgive his brother. Franz very correctly points out that most people get hanged for high treason, so he got off pretty fucking lucky.
Yep.
The first time I watched this, which was about an hour after it was released on Netflix, I paused after Sophie said you should forgive him. I paused it and went, he committed high fucking treason. He should be dead. And then pressed play and had Franz say almost the exact same thing. This is why Franz is my baby boy.
There you
Me
go.
and Franz, we see eye to eye about the situation.
Oh, my
You know,
Lord. You should forgive your breath. Oh, shut up, Sophie.
Meanwhile, Sophie doesn't really see the problem. She's like, I never would have allowed the plot to succeed. It wasn't that big of a deal. This is a crazy take, and Franz tells her it's really not about whether he succeeded or not. It's that he tried to commit a coup against his own brother.
Yes.
Not to mention made out with his wife. So he's like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Get out, mother.
Meanwhile, back in Italy, Maxie stands on the edge of a cliff and contemplates jumping.
Jump!
His butler...
Jump! Jump!
His butler tries to stop him, but Maxie tells him not to worry. He's too cowardly even to commit suicide. We love a self-aware depressive.
No, well,
Maybe there's hope.
That's true. That's true.
Not actually Leontine, meanwhile, goes to see her lover and asks for information about the Italian man that got shot. Von Back tells her he's died. I mean, I could have told you that.
Oh, yeah.
Not Leontine, asks for more information, and Von Back tells her he feels like she's just using him. He wants to make their relationship official, meet the family, he wants to propose, live his life with her, and
Problem.
most importantly, have I mentioned it, meet her family.
Yes. Problem.
She wants to say yes, obviously, but she can't without exposing herself as an imposter. So she promises to think about it and flees the room. Like, that ain't happening, honey. Break up with him. Across the palace, Franz watches Elisabeth wishing their daughter goodnight. He looks extremely moved. I want to give him a big cuddle.
Yes.
Elizabeth sees him and goes to speak to him in the next room, where they have like one of those quiet arguments parents have when their kids asleep.
Yes.
Elizabeth doesn't understand why they shot a fleeing, unarmed man. Fair. Franz, who still bears the scars from an assassination attempt, basically shows her his neck and is like, I'm desperate to keep my family safe and alive. And they're, once again, both correct and wrong at the same time.
Yep.
I love that for them.
Franz asks her if she was quoting Heinrich Heine to their daughter a minute ago. Heine is banned in the Empire, but it's interesting that Franz recognized the quote. You know, he's a smart cookie.
Yeah, but it's supposedly banned?
Well, you know.
How would he know? Unless he's reading it himself.
He is. He's being sneaky. Anyhow, as he is asking for more recommendations to read, Elisabeth doubles over in pain. We then cut to a maid running through the corridors, yelling for the midwives. Elisabeth has gone into labor early, 3 to 4 weeks early, and the whole household comes alive.
3 to 4 weeks when the baby's not in the right position, apparently not good.
Yeah, that's true. Big Sophie orders everyone to the chapel to pray. She's talking about having everybody rested from their beds. Everybody in the court.
And get them on their knees to pray, okay?
And over to the chapel to pray. Charlotte, who is interrupted mid-coitus, poor girl, runs to get her ladies-in-waiting prepared for the big event. Elisabeth waddles around the room in pain, and the midwife tries to play it cool, reassuring her everything is normal. Her cervix is opened sufficiently, and the baby's head is not quite crowning yet. Elisabeth cries out in pain again, and Franz asks Elisabeth what he can do. He is the only one listening to her when she tells him the pain was different last time. So, danger, danger. He calls for a doctor. The midwife tells him they can handle it, And a ferocious Franz tells her to dink it the doctor. Maybe not through gritted teeth, but, that's...
He basically was like, I will murder you if you keep talking.
Exactly. It's like, I will have your head on a pike if you don't get that doctor.
That. They will let me do that because I'm the emperor.
The emperor, I can do that. By the time the doctor arrives, Elisabeth is doubled over in horrific pain. Big Sophie, watching on and sipping tea, tells Elisabeth that he, the baby, is worth it. And the ladies in waiting offer to sing her something cheery. I just want to get my slappy hand out. Franz, who looks scared and angry, orders everyone but the doctor and the midwives out of the room. His mother looks surprised, but he makes her leave. Yeah. Like,
this is why I'm a Franz stand. Yep. That's good husband.
Yep.
Okay. Elisabeth gets onto the bed and begins to push. It's very painful, but the baby's head finally begins to emerge. That's also when the bleeding starts.
Yeah.
So much blood.
Lots of blood.
Everyone looks worried. The doctor looks worried. The midwife looks worried, but nobody looks more worried than Franz. The midwife whispers that they can still save the child. Franz is like, what the fuck did you just say? And begins to panic. The doctor grabs some forceps and is like, okay, we've got to get the baby out immediately before her death kills the baby. The whole time, Elisabeth is screaming in absolute agony, and Franz, bless him, he just begins to cry.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The baby is forced out in the world and immediately begins to cry too. So something in common with the dad. Good, the baby's alive.
Yes.
Elisabeth looks relieved, but then gets very, very quiet, and she immediately has passed out. Franz strokes her face and tells her she did really well, but the doctor asks him to go see the baby. Franz, crying, doesn't want to leave his wife, but is forced out of the room. Outside, he's greeted by that annoying fucking midwife who apologizes as she tells him it's a girl. A shell-shocked Franz looks over at his mother, Sophie, who looks angry.
Of course she does. Of course she does.
I want to slap her.
Oh.
Back inside the room, Elisabeth is splayed out on the bed, just blood gushing out of her. Like, this is why I don't fuck with childbirth. Anyway, we cut to Italy. Maxi, he's floating on the back of the ocean, probably thinking he's the unhappiest man in the world.
Woe. He is full of woe.
So filled with woe, from the shore, he hears his butler calling out, telling them that they've received a telegram from Vienna. He swims himself back to shore to read it and realizes it's from his brother. Before we can find out what it says, the music goes.
Yes.
And it's the end of the episode. I was like, damn.
Of course.
That's a good cliffhanger. I love this. And with that cliffhanger, we're back, baby.
Yes,
Woo!
we are. And so is the new baby. Baby.
Okay. So for like the past 2 years, I've been sending Michelle updates about the show, being like, oh, they finished the script. Oh my God, they're filming the show. They look. Like every 3 months, I've just been counting it down because I love this show so much.
It's such a great show.
Right?
Yeah. It really is.
It's got incredible performances. It's well written. The characters are nuanced. It tackles interesting topics.
It's freaking beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
Have we mentioned Italy again? You know how excited I get about Italy.
Yeah.
I think it's probably... Honestly, it just reminds me of normal people. I think it's probably one of the best crafted period dramas on TV at the moment. And it seems to have got really popular for season 2. I was seeing it everywhere. People kept recommending it on podcasts I listened to, and I was like, oh, God.
It's out.
Popular.
The secret is out. Oh.
No.
And the hard thing is that, we started listening to the podcast. It was back in November because I think it came out early November, and
It
then
might have been December,
it could have been, but
I don't know. I've lost sense of time and space.
Yeah,
Christmas happened, and
the circumstances came up, and we weren't able to get into it in our usual cadence, and so I am very, very curious about what happens in episode 2.
Right? I've seen episode 1 like 6 times because I was like, I can't watch episode 2.
Yeah, and Netflix keeps going, I want to start episode 2. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, shut up. Yes, I do.
Yes. Go away.
So glad we're back.
Yes.
We can finally watch episode 2.
Absolutely.
But also, I am glad that I had such a long time with the first episode because I feel like there's so much to fucking analyze. And that's what we're here for. So first thing we need to talk about is the time jump.
Yes.
Time jump.
I was not anticipating a time jump, were you?
No fucking idea it was coming. And I thought, what a super creative way to do this. Because they need to create tension and urgency surrounding Elizabeth's fertility. And I think if they tried to do that during a first pregnancy, that would seem fucking crazy because they'd been married for a year. But having already had a child, the scenario is very different for her, and it's a really clever way of accelerating character development for Elizabeth herself as well, because she was very juvenile.
Yes, she was
in season 1.
Yes, she was.
She's much more mature and self-assured now as a character. And I think it sets the stage better to have her as more of an adult and to have these, I think the whole series is going to be about her fertility issues.
I think that, one of the things that, we saw at the end of season 1 was, her walking out of the castle and opening the gates and walking out amongst
that was such a good ending.
It was an amazing ending. And I think what they wound up doing with season 2, the first episode, is they were able to build upon that legend, quote unquote. That the people love her and are fascinated by her, and that fascination can be huge assist to governing this massive empire. So they were able to do that without doing a whole bunch of lead up and writing and all that kind of stuff.
We didn't have extensive backstory. We didn't have it's just acting and concise writing. We were there in a few seconds. It's and the fact that they allowed the audience, they trust the audience to pick up and fill in the blanks. Okay, it's been a few years, they've had a kid, this is where they are. I feel like some other show, they wouldn't trust us to realize this. They would have a whole conversation of when you had the first baby, I remember. They would just
have some big swath of narrative that would come in over the top of. They did a fantastic job in bringing us into season 2.
Okay. So I want to talk a bit about the power and politics in season 2. Again, I've had a long time to think about this. So in season 1, it was more about the revolution and revolutionary ideals about democracy and equality. We had the guy keep trying to. It was I can't remember what his name was, but not Leontine's boyfriend.
Revolution.
It was all about the working class and them striving for equality. I think in season 2 we're seeing a slightly different issue coming to play here, okay, which is at least from what's based on episode 1. I don't know, but how these ideals are feeding into nationalism, and the nationalist movement across Europe really does build during this period, and these movements were born out of labor issues, and then they fed into, well, like, okay, so they did champion reforms and labor rights, but then they led into some really weird, gross, imperialistic shit, and turned into what eventually became the rise of fascism and Nazism. Like, I don't think we can separate them.
No.
You know, the birth of nationalism in Italy is going to directly feed into fascism in the 20th century, because you remember we're in the 1860s now. It's really not that long until we get the First World War. Like, everything we're seeing is building to the big wars that we get in the 20th century. And as a European, I am consciously always, like, trying to avoid nationalism. So I find the all the stuff surrounding, like, that Italian guy kind of worrying.
Yeah.
And there's last season also, individualism versus duty. We got the whole thing with Elizabeth. She went from being really selfish and thinking about what she wanted. She wanted to ride her horse and be crazy, get drunk, make out with her husband's brother. We put up with a lot.
Yeah.
This episode was really great at showing how different she is. She seems really dedicated to being the Empress now, and she has dedicated herself to learning all the languages, and she seems to have a deep affection for all the different cultures and all these different things. And she did a really great job of welcoming everybody in. So I think she's much more of a political player. Hopefully. We'll see how Sophie feels about that.
Fingers crossed, but,
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see her as part of that dynamic as well.
Yeah.
Because it was like she was on her own little world in season 1, just, like, fucking about.
Yep.
Hanging out with Strauss and getting drunk. Drinking absinthe, shit like that.
Maxie.
Am I crazy, or did he have a monkey, or was that... Am I just remembering?
I don't know.
I think he had a monkey.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back and watch that part. But, I mean, the poor child was just living in the lap of luxury.
A cry him a river.
Yeah. But we'll get to him in a little bit. First up, we have the fact that Elizabeth has the baby girls.
Plural.
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to mention is that I have been reading the biography again, and Elizabeth gave birth to her first child, Sophie, in 1855, so last year.
Yes.
In the show. And her second child, who we haven't officially met yet, but is called Gisela. She was born in 1856. So in Empress Sophie's diary, the real one, not the fictional evil bitch of the show, she has a whole entry dedicated to the real life birth of Gisela. I thought it would be interesting if you could read it for the listeners.
Sure. So Sissy held my son's hand, Franz, between her own two and once kissed it with a lively and respectful tenderness. This was so touching and made him weep. He kissed her ceaselessly, comforted her and lamented with her, and looked at me at every pain to see if it satisfied me. When they grew stronger each time and the birth began, I told him so, to give Sissy and my son new courage. I held the dear child's head, and the chamberwoman Pilot held her knees, and the midwife held her from behind. Finally, after a few good long labor pains, the head appeared. And immediately after that, the child was born after 3 o'clock and cried like a 6-week-old baby. The young mother, with an expression of such touching bliss, said to me, "Oh, now everything is all right. Now I don't mind how much I've suffered." The emperor burst into tears. He and Sissy did not stop kissing each other, and they embraced me with a lively tenderness. Sissy looked at the child with delight, and she and the young father were full of care for the child, a big, strong girl.
So, way different.
Oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, all right, if this is what this woman is, I know you have to have some evil gremlin running around, for dramatic purposes, but sounds like a lovely little grandma.
Well, she wasn't really, but like in her head, Sissy was like, "I hate that bitch." But I think it's the normal kind of that's a mother-in-law and she's a bit bossy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not she's trying to actively destroy my life thing like we get in the show.
Yeah.
We've got to bear in mind, this is all happening when Sissy's a teenager.
True.
So everything is very high drama for teenagers. And she probably is like, damn, I hate that woman. Why is she always telling my husband what to do? But then from Sophie's perspective, that's like a literal child who doesn't know how to do anything. So she's going to intervene. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy that we have like a first-hand account of the birth from Sophie's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's also crazy how much they're kissing during
good grief.
Get it together. This is why they had so many kids.
Smooching happening during labor. I mean, I think if it were me, my husband would probably be the last person
I would want to be far away.
I would want to have in the room because, be like, look, you did this to me. But yeah, I have something to do with it too. All right. But anyhow, that's really cool. Speaking of kissing.
So Franz and Elizabeth's relationship, I was so living for this dynamic. Like, a really great place in their marriage. And it's just lovely to watch. These actors have so much chemistry. So it's so insane. Their entire faces light up around each other. And like that fight scene. I want to talk about the fight scene.
Yes.
I've probably mentioned this before on this show, but I think what I love about this show is that you can understand. Fucking hell, what a time.
Oh God.
What I love about the show is that you can have a fight scene between these two characters and you can understand every character's point of view and motivation.
Yes.
And even though I agreed with Elizabeth that you really shouldn't kill an unarmed fleeing man.
Yeah.
When Franz pointed to his neck scar, I understood instantly what he meant. So you can have different perspectives on a situation and have nuance, and everyone is allowed to be both right and wrong. And most writers don't want that.
Right.
They want to make things really easy and clear for the audience, and they don't allow us to make our own decisions on what we think is the right way to approach the situation. And I appreciate that, like, that scene allowed them to both just, like, acknowledge each other's points of view. And,
yes. I mean,
it was really cute.
It's like we tend not to live in a world where everything is black and white. We are living in a world where there are all kinds of different shades of gray. Not talking about that book. And so being able to see this couple have this discussion, quote unquote, and for them both to have that, oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right too. That kind of thing. It's like you can see both sides because it's a world of gray. So yeah, it was And these two, with the chemistry that they have, they're able to pull off that kind of scene without any difficulty whatsoever. It's
They're
completely
so
believable.
#married, right?
Yes. So believable. As is the tension between Sophie and Elisabeth.
Honestly, when I saw the poster for season 2 was Elizabeth and Sophie, I was so excited because I love this dynamic between these two women, and I really enjoyed seeing Sophie constantly biting her tongue.
Biting her tongue. The scene where she kneels to, where she curtsied to Elizabeth. I mean, it was just like, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But also the scene where Elizabeth's telling the governess off and Sophie rolls her eyes. She can't help it. She's like, she will do what Sophie. Well, they'll do with whatever Elizabeth wants. Right. But Sophie has to make it known that she doesn't agree.
She's not agreeing with this.
Completely.
Yes. I'm keeping my tongue bitten, and, I'm basically going to be like, nope, whatever you say, because you are carrying the air.
I also think she understands that while Elizabeth is pregnant, she holds all the power in that situation. Yeah. She's carrying the air. She's the most important person. They've got to do whatever she wants. But then as soon as the baby's out of her, that's when Sophie steps in.
Things go back to normal. And the brood cow has done her thing. And, unless they want to try and do a spare.
They definitely need a spare.
Well, yeah, they do. But
it's not an emergency.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're done. Thank you.
But I also think the reason she allows Elizabeth to do whatever she wanted with her daughter is because it's not the heir. So she's like, okay, if you want her to run around, I won't say anything because it's only a girl. Who cares?
Exactly. Such a cute little girl. Oh,
she's so cute.
She's adorable.
But she did break her vows, and the part of me that was like, okay, well, she needs some discipline. Elizabeth, get it together.
Yeah, seriously, it's like, this is not just a vase you pick up at IKEA, girl.
Girl, you're allowed to occasionally scold a child. It's not going to scar her. I'm not one of these gentle parenting persons. Come on, Elizabeth. But it's perfectly in keeping with her personality that she would be like, no, this palace can't be a cage for my little girl.
Oh,
also,
God.
Cage, we're back with the bird metaphors.
Yep.
Another thing with Sophie, I think they're introducing a really interesting theme throughout this episode. There was a number of different times where she was having to talk about God's plan, and she kept snarking about how she doesn't like waiting for a man. And it's interesting because last season she was such a devout Catholic. This is in complete fucking contrast with that.
Yeah.
She's not comfortable giving up control even to Jesus and God. And I think the bishop saying she lost her faith and she needs to regain it will be an important thing for the season.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be a complete fucking mess this season, to be honest. If the poster is any indication, and I am excited.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't wait to watch episode 2.
Okay, not Leontine.
Yes, not Leontine.
She's in a bit of a pickle.
Oh my gosh, she is. I had forgotten that Charlotte had witnessed
convenient flashback then.
The scene. So yeah, that was a very convenient flashback. Because I was wondering why Charlotte was lording,
bitch in charge now.
Lording everything over everyone.
Can I just say, of all of the girls from season 1, I'm glad that it's Charlotte.
Yes.
she's the right mixture of stern and kind. I think I think as much as she's like, bitch, stay away from the Empress, I know you're a murderer, she's still kind of like giving in occasionally. Yeah. So I'm a Charlotte fan, and I also love that she's still getting it on the side.
Yes, me too. It's like, go for it, girl. And how she kept like looking at all of the men from the various different delegations, talking
Good
about,
for her.
who was the most handsome, and blah blah blah. I was like, you go, girl.
Get it, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Leontine was getting it in as well, but I have a real problem with this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I think because it happened off screen, it's completely underdeveloped, and it's like, okay, so like break it off with him. Like the difference between
and and you think about it, this has been going on for 2 years.
Yes, yes.
So,
break up with him.
After a certain amount of time, don't be surprised that he is like, I want to make it official. It's like, you guys have been stuffing in closets for 2 years. And, you need
what did she think was going to happen?
Exactly. It's like, you need to be thinking about the fact that you are an imposter. And
it's like the alternative is death.
Yeah.
Like, they have the death penalty.
Oh, yeah.
Go break up with him.
You need to, because the clock, she be ticking. Tickety-tackety, tickety-tack. Yeah.
Honestly, just be like, I don't love you. And you don't need to give him a good reason. Just don't die.
Although, she has, in that first scene that we see of the two of them, she is laying on the lovey-dovey talk at just as thick as he is. And
they're in love. I get it.
Yeah. But there's nothing you can do about this love, girl.
Death. This is her choices between marrying him and death.
Yes.
I would choose to not marry him.
Right.
So
self-preservation needs to kick in, not Leontine, so that you can either continue your service to the Empress, or B, get the hell out of Dodge.
Staying, like, is she, like, I understand, like, she might want to stay at the court.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
But this is to get out of the relationship. Come on. Come on, sis.
Right. And
use some common sense.
It's not going to end well. You just know it's not going to end well. I
also, again, like, I'm not invested in this relationship, so it's very hard for me to give a shit. Like, I'm just like, it's like, girl, don't be dumb, and don't take up so much screen time, because other stuff's happening.
Yep.
Okay, you've already made one terrible romantic choice. Why am I watching you make another one?
Yeah.
Like, learn from your mistakes, Leontine. And like, I like not Leontine.
I do
but
too.
Come on, sis. Yeah,
it's like, come on, girl. Oof. Now, let's talk about
our favorite,
Maxie.
Our poor little rich boy.
Oh my God. The scene where he is reintroduced to the audience, scanning over this,
presents.
Richly appointed room with the presents and everything. And yet in the corner, we hear someone who is attempting to throw his spleen up out of his mouth.
Yeah, he looked fucked up.
He was so sick. Oh.
It was gross.
So sick. It was disgusting.
This performance from this actor is so sensational. It almost made me feel bad for him.
Yep. Almost.
Then I remembered that he's a sad lost boy because he committed high treason.
Yes.
And that is unrelatable to me. So I don't feel bad. Like, and I also think, like, Franz has got a point. He got it very easily. He's living a lavish life.
A very lavish life as someone who committed high treason. Yes. He's swinging from a rope. Mama.
Mum pulled some strings for him because he's rich. He's still like living the dream as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, even better. Even a better dream. You know, he doesn't have to do anything.
So we started talking about this earlier. Do you think he's actually remorseful? I feel like he's sorry he did it, but he's not like, okay, he's sorry.
He's sorry he got caught.
Yeah, he's sorry he got caught.
He's sorry he got caught.
It's like when somebody's really sad after you find out they've cheated on you. It's like, yeah, you are genuinely sad right now, and I understand you're heartbroken.
But it's really, but you got your ass caught, and that's why you're sad. So,
you're sad that the situation is happening to you, not that you did the situation. There's no awareness that he was the problem. He's still trying to pull the, like, oh, I'm just a victim of circumstances.
Yeah, right.
My life is so sad. Will you feel sad for me, friends?
Have I ever said, and this may have been something that I said in a previous episode about this show, I think he is a sociopath.
I think he is too.
I think he's a sociopath. And so the whole idea that he's sorry he got caught is something that is very common with sociopaths.
Sociopaths.
Yes.
Yeah. But my thing with this interpretation of this character is like, I am genuinely moved by this performance. I think there are compelling things about Maxie. And I do believe he does actually love his brother. But he is a psycho.
Yeah.
Like there's just, and this is somewhat coloured by the general impression I have of the real person, who I think was psychotic. Yeah. Like, have I told you that he declared himself Emperor of Mexico?
Yes.
Because that's a fucking psychotic thing to do. He does a number of things that I think are mind-blowingly crazy.
Do you think it may be because he had syphilis?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, all of these folks are running around with God knows how many sexually transmitted illnesses, and syphilis does make you crazy.
Well, that's actually one of the things one of his biographers suggests, because eventually, spoilers, he does get married, and they can never have kids. And one of the theories is that he's sterile from because of the venereal diseases. That's definitely
totally makes sense.
The amount of people who had venereal diseases in this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then, like, what do you get? There's condoms aren't a thing. Like, fair enough.
Yeah.
What do you do? Never going to have sex? Like, come on.
At that point, no, I will look it up over here.
Apparently, like 1 in 3 men had a venereal disease. So.
Oh my God.
And then there were
disgusting.
It is disgusting, and like the chances are that you might love somebody and marry them, and then they could infect you. Just the chances of it. Yeah. But anyway, I love this performance. I'm looking forward to seeing the crazy shit he does. I can't wait to see what he does with Napoleon III. Those two motherfuckers are both as crazy as each other. I think they're gonna.
It's gonna be cray.
It's gonna be cray. I can't wait. And I do know from history that for a brief period he was like the governor of the region that we're discussing this season.
Oh my God.
So.
Oh jeez.
He was unpopular.
What could possibly happen?
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
And generally, I love having this plot happening in the background with Italy. It's a really interesting part of European history, and it is the subject of Historical Corner. It's back, and it's more boring than ever.
It's back, people. Settle in.
Okay, so very, very, very brief history of Italy. So Italy has historically been divided into several regions after the fall of the Roman Empire. If you're interested in the fall of the Roman Empire, there's a book about that. Anyway, So this led to the rise of independent city-states and kingdoms. Over the centuries, various foreign powers, including the Holy Roman Empire, no relation, Austria, France, and Spain, they each controlled different parts of Italy, and it created a fragmented political landscape. I forgot to mention the papacy. They meddled a lot. Anyway. Napoleonic reforms in the early 19th century further reshaped the territories. Yes. The Napoleons got involved in some wars there.
Yeah.
But it left Italy divided when Napoleon's empire fell. Spoiler alert, yeah, Napoleon doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Additionally, Italy lacked a strong national identity, okay? Yes, they all largely spoke a similar version of the language, but people's loyalties often tied to local rulers or city-states rather than a unified Italian nation. The central region, controlled by the Papal States under the Pope's authority, added another layer of complexity to efforts for unification, because you know the Pope wasn't going to give up his authority. These divisions persisted until the 19th century, when the Italian unification movement, known as the, God help me as I try to pronounce this, Risorgimento. Okay, I pronounced that wrong, but who cares? It gained momentum across Italy, as we now know it. The Congress of Vienna, held in 1815, left Italy divided amongst various states under foreign control, which sparked widespread dissatisfaction. Secret societies like the Carbonari emerged, advocating for national unity and opposing foreign domination. There were a series of revolutions between 1820 and 1821 and 1830 and 1831, which saw uprisings across Italy demanding constitutional reforms and independence from foreign rulers. The formation of Young Italy by Giuseppe Mazzini in 1831 further fueled the nationalist movement, promoting the idea of a unified, democratic Italy. These early efforts laid the groundwork for the future unification attempts, culminating in the revolutions of 1848, where Italians across the peninsula rose against their rulers in a widespread surge of nationalist sentiment. Although these revolts were ultimately suppressed, they highlighted the growing desire for national unity and set the stage for the successful unification effort in the latter half of the century, which is where we picked up in the episode. It's 1856, and we are on the precipice of a lot of interesting events. I won't go to too many details because I fear spoilers. Spoiler ahead. But we do know that Italy is a nation now, so yeah. Austria doesn't hang on to Italy.
No.
It's like, I can tell you that.
That does not continue. So.
No, yeah.
Okay, favorite performances.
Okay. I guess the one that stood out for me the most was Maxie, because it was such a
incredible.
Such a heightened emotional space. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. The scene of him on the balcony, he looked tormented.
I know. What a little psycho. Like, that man is chemically unbalanced.
Yeah.
Like,
way chemically unbalanced. Dude needs some antipsychotic medications.
He needs to be in a padded room right now.
Yeah.
He's a danger to himself and all the others around him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the line about how the wave wiping him out was incredible.
Yeah.
That whole... I mean... he's so talented.
Slow clap for him from now until the end of time. Just so good.
I am going to enjoy the shit out of this season, even though I don't like Maxie. It's like the performance alone is compelling, and I mean, okay,
so
but
good.
I mean, the whole cast is absolutely sensational. I mean, Sophie, continues to be the most regal bitch around.
For reals.
Elizabeth made me cry. Franz made me cry. That little kid was very adorable. I thought she had the best haircut I've ever seen. Just
it was a cute little bob.
Everyone is killing it. This is a flawless cast.
Yeah. I'm looking at the pictures of the cast, and I mean, the picture of Maxie, he looks like a sweet little blonde-haired,
he's a sweet little boy.
He looks like a cherub.
Yeah, that's before the depression moustache hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was rough.
Yeah,
that was rough.
I think the depression moustache is going to be here for the season, though.
Oh man,
because it was in a lot of the trailer.
I thought that Elizabeth's performance was excellent, although it was really harrowing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that labor scene was
traumatizing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I kept telling myself, you missed out on this, Michelle. You missed out.
You could have gone through that.
I could have done that. No.
I'm okay, you know? It turns out I'm okay.
It's like, I'm good.
And I also loved Franz's face.
Yeah.
He does not saying that much, but the scene kills me.
Yeah.
His reaction to everything.
Yeah.
His little... that scene where Franz is told the baby's a girl, and the way he looks at his mother... There are no words spoken, but he is like, bitch, I will murder you.
Exactly. Come at me one more time about this whole girl thing, and blood will be spilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am very excited to see what happens after this birth, because, clearly it's going to be...
nothing is going to happen.
It's going to be at least another year before Elizabeth is able to have another child. And I just know that, after what they've depicted, she is going to be basically...
Well, the uterus is damaged, so there's probably a lot of questions around if she should have... Yeah. She should even be having sex, because then...
Yeah. I mean, I think that...
the pregnancy could kill her. This is the other thing.
I think that... Well, we know that she has more children.
Yeah.
So, I think that...
Unfortunately, they're all idiots. I'm allowed to say it.
Oh, God. But, I think that while they showed, personally, I think they showed more blood than would be possible for her to survive on the show.
It depends what they show next. If they show her, just popping up the next episode,
right.
If there's significant damage and long-term illness, then I'll be okay with it. If she just pops up
yeah, hey, how y'all doing?
You remember how in Poldark, Jamelson just lifted the blanket off and there was a baby?
Yes, it's like, oh, surprise, there's a baby. Although that was such a sweet scene. That really was a sweet scene. Anyway.
Yeah, but it was filled with lies, okay? This is real. Let me have my moment.
I
do think there's this weird cultural thing where we always when growing up I always saw happy scenes of giving birth is you push a little bit and then the baby's there.
The baby's here, yeah. You just see
you get a bit sweaty but you're fine.
Yeah, you
and
didn't
then
really
with period
see
dramas,
like this, yeah.
why I like period dramas is that they always are okay, but bitches nearly die.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're at least honest.
Yeah, I mean, if we think about it, the Downton Abbey, so spoilers because it's been out forever.
I've already spoken about how I feel about Sybil's death.
Yeah, that scene was so horrible.
so awful and
So
yet
horrible.
probably the realest thing you've ever seen
Yeah.
on that show.
That was horrible. But yeah, the amount of blood that the doctor was sopping up off.
Oh my God.
That was just like, okay, how many liters of blood is that we're seeing here? It makes me question whether or not she's able to survive, but we'll find out.
Maybe they can give her a blood transfusion. I don't know if that's possible back then, but I hope so.
Oh yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
favorite scenes.
I think the grandeur of them walking into the room for the reception and all of the color that we saw, including the dress.
We'll talk about.
We're going to talk about. I think that scene was the one where I was just like, oh.
And all those, I recognize some of those costumes. Like I've seen them in Eurovision, which those of you who know what Eurovision is, that's hilarious. But those of you who don't know what Eurovision is, it's a songing contest.
Yes.
Where the whole of Europe goes crazy. But one of the cliches about Eurovision is that there's always like, people will use their national dress as a gimmick.
Yes.
And like I've seen some of those outfits before. So I was like, okay, wow, they've gone into a lot of detail with like region specific languages and costumes and making sure everything is accurate. And it was beautiful to like celebrate all these different regions that I don't think people even really know exist anymore.
Yeah. That was beautiful. So that was absolutely one of my favorite
mean, the
scenes.
flower crowns were
a
thing of sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
I think the scene where, and we talked about it, the scene where the two of them were like canoodling on the bed before the
and he
event,
talks to the
because
Bob.
They're so sweet and beautiful together. I think that
I actually really like the scene of Maxie lying in the ocean.
Yes, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Yeah,
I know you can do that with drones now, but
yeah,
still cool.
That was beautiful. Again, the colors was just completely struck by the photography that we had in the various different scenes, especially with Maxie in that beautiful location in Italy.
I wish
that was
I
gorgeous.
was banished to
seriously,
to a palace, please. We need to hold your coups.
I'll go.
Yeah.
But anyhow, costumes, hair, and makeup.
I think they did like a great job of making Elizabeth's hippie free spirit thing from season 1 like quite regal.
Yes.
Like the caftan white dress thing was it period appropriate?
No. I mean, that looked like something that you would see like a party in the 70s. But it was beautiful. With all of the flowers on that white background. It was just gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
Yes.
I loved, and then we've been speaking about all the different costumes that they had for the delegations. Even the Lombardi.
Yes.
Venice, like the embroidery on his. It's a shame it got covered in blood. Yeah. But it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful while it lasted.
Yeah.
Hope they didn't have to do too many takes. Because, ew.
And they got a new wig for Elizabeth.
Yes.
She has these tiny wispy bangs.
Little bangs in the front.
That
so cute.
I've put a little photo in our show notes. Accurate. 100% accurate. The
Very
styling
much
for her is... they've really captured the vibe, if not like the accuracy. You know?
Yeah. When she was walking into the room for the reception, and you saw the back of her head and her hair in that woven. I mean, who knows how in the hell they did that woven braid up thing, but it looked spectacular. I was expecting the wig to be longer because, don't we see pictures of her where her hair
in the bath,
is
it was really fucking
past,
long.
Past her butt.
When she was in the bath, I was like, okay, that hair is too long, sis. Like, that's that. But I think because she had
a bunch piled up on her
head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. God, she must have a headache all the time.
Honestly, I mean, I've been running around wearing braids for the last year or so. And, when I first get them done, and they go down to the small of my back.
Okay. That's
long. Yeah, it is. Especially for someone who's worn their hair short for most of their lives. But, when it first gets done, it's fine. I'm other than the sheer pain, the tightness of the braids
twisting.
are. But man, a month later and it's grown out.
Neck cut?
It's grown out maybe a half an inch. My neck is so miserable that, it's like, I can make a set of braids last for a little over a month, and then they've got to go, and a new set have got to go on because they're just making my neck and back miserable. So I don't know how this woman walked around with hair
she was
dragging the ground.
This is, I think, why she was depressed. It was because her hair was
her hair was too heavy. Yeah, I don't know how she lived with it as long as it was.
I get headaches if my hair, because my hair's so voluminous, unfortunately. Like, if I don't get regular haircuts, I get headaches.
Yeah.
Like, and my hair is nowhere near that length.
No.
Like,
it's crazy.
It's just crazy.
It's nuts.
It's insane.
Damn.
Okay. Anything you didn't like, and is it all the blood?
I have a pretty sturdy stomach when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I don't know, but when he was I was fine until I saw him like sopping
it up. Yeah,
the sopping.
When he started sopping it up and throwing those sheets
Bloody
or
rags.
towels into a bucket, I was just like, okay, you can stop now. You can stop. We don't need any more. We understand. Really bad situation, but Jesus wept. That was pretty rough. But other than that, I was quite content. I'm reserving judgment on the extended time we spent with not Leontine and her lub, but I'm holding judgment since we've only watched one episode. Things could settle down. Knock on wood.
I'd just break up with him. I think the thing I didn't like was I accidentally put on the dubbed version.
Oh.
And then I was like watching it curiously, and it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know how anyone can stand the dubbing.
Oh no. Definitely watch it. Watch the original.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. So, how many glass carriages out of 5?
4.
Why? Are you knocking it down 1?
Because I don't want to get ahead of myself. There could be an episode coming up that is just so effing brilliant, it will be a 5 across the board. But I would say 4. I'm going to give this 4. I was very pleased.
I'm giving them 5, and because I think I very rarely watch a show this many times and still enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
By this holds up on multiple rewatches, and believe me, I have rewatched it a lot. Usually I watch something, and then because I have to podcast about it, I watch it like 6 more times. And by the 6th time, I've seen all the plot holes, and I've seen all the things that are wrong with it. And I'm like screaming, why are her fake lashes so obvious? And I never got less enthusiastic about this If anything, I just noticed smaller nuances that I could appreciate. So I'm just going to say a 5 is a 5.
Okay.
Okay.
We shall see.
We'll see if it holds up.
Yes.
Okay. Episode 2 summary. Let's go.
Let's see. France sends Maximilian on a diplomatic mission to make an ally of Napoleon III. Oh my God. And Sophie schemes to sideline Elizabeth and take charge of her children. Because of course she does. Woman.
Sophie, give us a hobby. That isn't this.
That has nothing to do with taking charge of your son's children.
You know the moment when she was like throwing the creepy uniform across the room in disappointment because it wasn't. I was like,
it's like, oh, spoiled child much? And I'm talking about you, not anybody else.
Like, she's pretending she would even dress the baby herself. What an insane thing to do.
Yeah, no.
This woman is crazy. I love her. I would defend her with my life. She's fucking insane. And I would say that about this entire family.
Yep.
Even my baby boy Franz. Anyway.
Yep. So
that's all. We've done the thing.
Yes.
We'll be back in 2 weeks discussing episode 2 of the show. If you want to contact us, you can email us at inthebooksnetwork@gmail.com. We are on Instagram, so please follow if you want fun bonus content and updates on the podcast. And if you enjoyed the pod, please rate, review, tell your friends, and you can even buy us a coffee. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.